Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. It's your man, Darren M. Palmer, Chief Book Officer of Self-Publishing Third Age, your host with the most. Excited to be with you for another episode of Market Leader Live. Hey, I got the man, the myth, the legend himself, the man who takes it deep with the big wood, Doc, right in the building, people. Doc, say hello to the people, my man.
What's up, people?
Awesome. Now, Doc, how we do it on this show, this is real entrepreneurs, real business owners, people who are sharing their method, their way. And to me, by us being able to connect with a mutual friend, I saw the things that you were doing that was amazing. And I had to have you on the show. So I appreciate you being here. But if you don't mind, just share with people a little bit about you, Doc, and then we're going to go further into the interview.
Absolutely, man. Number one, thanks for having me on. It's good to meet you. Um, so, I used to be a geologist for an oil company and was there for a little over 4 years and just wasn't really happy and just picked woodworking up as a hobby. And like within 2.5 months, an opportunity presented itself, and I decided to kind of give the middle finger to corporate America and take a chance on myself. And by a little over 5 years later, sitting here talking to you, man.
Man, that's amazing. Now, for those who are listening to this, Doc has already shared a gem for us right now. He was doing an area, picked up something, a trade. Notice what didn't happen. He didn't have a 20-year plan when he started picking up this hobby. For those of you who over there, and I'm not saying not to plan, but he didn't have a 20-year plan. He moved and used what he had. So, Doc, share with the people a little bit about the process as far as where you start thinking to yourself, this isn't a hobby anymore. I can actually do this as a full time, as a business. Can you walk us through that and the mindset that you had?
Yeah, and I hope everybody that's listening to this is sitting down when they hear this because let's just say I've been called a little crazy. Much like you said, dude, I had zero plans or qualms or ideas about doing this as a business to the point I did like two small tabletops for a friend who owns a wedding venue down in College Station. And he was like, oh man, you should do this as a business. I'm like, you know how many of these I'd have to make to supplement my income? You're out of your flipping mind. So my story is a little different because I had no experience in this. I just kind of picked it up and like I said, like 2.5 months. So I had built a bench, a coffee table, a couple small pieces, and then I did one dining room table. And out of nowhere, this interior designer for a custom home builder out in Lubbock found me, and she asked me to bid on a 14 by 5 foot conference table. And I kind of joked and laughed. And I was like, "You realize I'm not a business. I'm this schmuck in his garage, like messing around." And she was like, "Yeah, we kind of figured that because we couldn't find any social media on you. There's no, website, nothing." So they understood, and they still wanted me to bid on it. So I did. And a week later, they asked me to bid on five, all five different sizes, all five different species. And a couple days after that, she called me and was like, "All right, well, where do we send the deposit check to?" And I was like, "I guess my house." And it was for $134,000. So at that moment, that's when all the light bulbs started going off. Like, wait, number one, this is not a normal situation. Number two, like, I'm a scientist by trade, so I know dick all about business, like nothing. But I realized, and I knew enough of like, I didn't have to get a loan. I didn't need to raise capital to start up. I had zero business plan, like at all, but I knew this wasn't normal. So at that point in my professional career, man, I kind of had peaked out. Like I got told previously that I was too good at my job. I'm kind of pigeonholed, even though I was in charge of training all the new hires, leading the intern field trips, like everything. And I was making damn good money, but it was the most unhappiest I've ever been. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm young enough. I'm not married. I don't have kids. If I'm going to take a chance and do something kind of crazy, now's the time. Because what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work out. And I have to send my resume back out. I mean, all right, bet. Let's go.
Oh man, that's good stuff. Hey man, it's like Campbell soup, man. It's good, man. With Doc sharing with us today. Now, this is real entrepreneurship of also having a thought process. This isn't This isn't trig or whatnot. This is just process. Okay, what's the worst that can happen? He has proof of concept. Most people don't get that proof of concept. Most people might have a $5 widget that they sold, or maybe some commission from some car sales. But all of a sudden, he got a deposit and he's looking at over $100,000, and he's thinking to himself like, "Oh, wait a minute, not too bad for a gentleman that's in his garage or whatnot, creating some things or whatnot, and without even a social media presence at all." And so, focus on what are the things that you can do that you can be able to move forward with other opportunities by just being willing to serve somebody, help out a friend. And then also, I want to bring this nugget up, and this helped me too, Doc. For those of you thinking that it has to come from you, the first person that told him about that it could be a business was a friend. Doc didn't think it was an idea. He was like, it was crazy. He already had a great paying job, occupation, and a career. So he didn't have to worry about that. The same thing here with me with self-publishing 30 days. It wasn't my bright idea. I didn't want no part of it at all. Somebody else said like, hey man, you might want to do this. I'm like, oh bro, I'm doing the same thing as Doc. So you see we're here right now that neither one of us, and we're both doing this interview for those of you who, I want this to inspire some people out there. Neither one of us, both of us are untraditional. If you can't tell, you're like, what the hell is this, like ex-football guy, McGraw? This dude doesn't even sound like he's no D from Texas or whatnot. How is he going to work with people around the world to be able to be the #1 self-publishing company in the world? But that's what we want you to understand today. You are able to create your world that you desire to create. Don't allow people to limit you, And Doc, once you had this opportunity, just looking back on it, because I want to, go back a little bit. What would you say to the Doc that was getting started by what you've been able to experience now? Like, now you got a social media, now you've had some success. What would you tell that Doc in the infancy stages from the Doc right now of what you've been able to learn so far?
Think much bigger. Simple. It's just simple, because at the end of the day, you honestly don't know what you don't know. And if you're the only one in your circle of friends that is a newer entrepreneur, you really need to start surrounding yourself with people who have done this and been in this game a little bit. And it doesn't matter what business it is, it's irrelevant. 80% of all business overlaps. And I just would have told myself to find a mentor at first and think much, much bigger. Simple.
I love that, man, with the Texas size think. When you focus on this, this is something else that Doc is bringing tools that I think is transferable no matter what the business is. Please, if you don't get anything else from this, understand the power of association. You have to understand you want to be around people who are doing better than you. That's not a knock on you. You're going to learn to grow. But if you have a poor mindset, you're going to be in that mindset of, I don't want to be around all the time. You're thinking someone bragging, but they're not bragging. You're just communicating because it's real life for them. It's you. It's an internal issue that you have to think that it's bragging. They're just having small talk about things that they're actually doing. They're not faking the phone. It's not a bogus report. This is not fake news that they're giving you. They're just talking. So you have to do the internal work, because if you're not careful, the gem that Doc just gave us to think bigger and get around other people, you would lose that opportunity because of your self-image. And you wouldn't get around the right people or the Docs of the world because you're like, I'm not on the level that Doc is. But you have to realize Doc has been able to grow and mature and cultivate what he's been able to learn and work his tail off, man, to get to where he is and surround himself around the right people. So for those of you out there who can't accept being around other people that make more money than you, they might be in better shape than you, they might have a better relationship or marriage than you, that's not a knock on you. It allows for you to cut your learning curve. Even this interview right now came from me being around the right people and Doc being around the right people. I mean,
100%.
Great people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you what you can do with the right people in your life can scale you in every area of your life. You can have you could be light years ahead of everybody else if you're just trying to do it all by yourself. Doc, do you agree with that, man, on the importance of not taking yourself out of the right circles because you feel like your house isn't big enough, or you don't have the granite counter, and you don't have, I don't have the car that Doc has, so I don't have the truck that he has, and so I can't hang around him. Can you speak to that, Doc, if you don't mind, the right mindset?
Okay, so 100% agree with everything you said, and I'm going to add on to it. Your worst enemy is yourself. Like, the only person that can get in your way is you. You are your own worst enemy. And secondly, like, all that stuff, like, once you're on this side of the equation, that's all just minimal insecurity bullshit. Get over yourself, be an adult, know your role kind of thing. But there was a quote that I heard years ago, and it really changed my whole perspective on social media and all those interactions you just really eloquently brought up. You will never be criticized by somebody doing more than you. So when you're starting out, people are doubting you, throwing shade. Man, those really aren't your friends. They're not there to support you. And honestly, like, half the time, and I hear this from everybody, the people who watch you the closest are the ones who want to see you fail first. So I 100% agree with you, man.
Man, I'm telling you, man, this is good stuff today. When we focus on this, and if you don't get this, you don't even know. It's like a stench. That's what Doc is trying to tell us. Those insecurities and stuff, things like that, it's a stench. And I heard this is a quote that I like too, Doc. Speaking of quotes, and it somewhat ties along with the one that you brought up. That most people acquiesce to known hells, forfeiting unknown heavens. Most people acquiesce to known hells, forfeiting unknown heavens. Just good old country boy talk where I come from is most people settle for the hell that they know because it's comfortable. And
Yep.
even though they can have a heavenly experience, they won't even try it because the fear of trying something new or doing something different, which is what you did. You would have forfeited an unknown heaven if you wouldn't have took the chance, if you wouldn't have bet on yourself and took action behind what you was able to do. And so, Doc, going into that, with you taking the bid or whatnot and moving forward and getting around the right people, what were some of the things that you did to actually get into a place of now it's just not me as a technician anymore. Now I'm looking at scale. So can you talk about being Doc, just the person who's a woodsmith or able to put stuff together, to now you are a real business owner?
Yeah, that is very interesting, and I'm currently battling that right now, to be honest, because I've ran through a slew of employees, and unfortunately, it's really hard to find good help these days. But luckily for me, I did finally find the guy, and he has been stepping up to the plate. His name's Michael. He's a couple years older than I am, actually, and has been woodworking for fucking like 2-3 decades. So bringing him here, because, like, the size of this stuff, just, it's not normal, and I know that, but it kind of gets lost in translation. So just having somebody that was willing to come in and step up to the plate was actually crucial. And then just not being afraid to fail. And I don't mean like the actual fail, I mean like trying things out with business. And the equation for years, we were just throwing shit against the wall to seeing what sticks in terms of exposure and sales. And it doesn't matter. All right, it's something that we checked off the list. It's not a failure, it's a learning lesson, right? And so recently figured out that trying to have a salesperson is really not applicable, because a lot of our clientele, especially like the pro athletes, the higher end, upper echelon, yes, they are buying the stuff, like the final product from me, but they're actually buying me and the relationship that comes with it. It's an experience. And so I brought on a PR intern for the summer that went to Texas Tech, same as me. And her and I are scheming on some big things. So it's just learning how to be incredibly nimble, because nothing ever goes to plan. Flipping nothing. Like, I can tell you so many stories of just really bad things that most people would be like, how did you walk away from that? And it's like, what's my option? Like, anger and jealousy and just getting upset is a wasted emotion. So I'm not All right, it happened. Talked about it once. Cool. On to the next thing. You have to consistently look forward.
Love that. I love it. Now, you know what, Doc, you share some good stuff. And I want people to understand that of being nimble. And so, say, for instance, I think all of us, especially those who are watching this, you will understand that you can't put a COVID-19, you can't put a pandemic on your plan. Like, so it doesn't matter what your business coach told you or what little plan you had, all that's out the door when you have a situation that's out of your hand that you got to deal with. And so whether that is something of mass destruction or whatnot, or it's created or whatever it is, quote unquote, you still have to deal with it. And it's the same thing for us in your industry or in your niche or whatever that you're dealing with. You have to be able to pivot, whether it's understanding what works best for you. So it might be an outfit that somebody else wears, or ladies, if it's a dress that you're wearing that somebody else doesn't wear. You have to understand what's your unique selling or servicing point in your business that allow for you to be different. Different is okay in business. So a lot
It's
of people
great.
are trying to press down who you are, and you're actually losing, the organic trait that's going to attract people to you. And so like that experience that you heard Doc talk about, the people are wanting him. So if he's caught up in his mind, well, everybody else has a salesperson, everybody else has a sales team, well, I need to have something. Well, he's trying to force something that's not there for his business. So Doc, you brought up something at that latter part of that conversation of, even when the crap hit the fan, of being able to know it's no use, because whatever I focus on magnifies. So I don't need to waste my energy, because I need all my creative energy to go towards what I'm desiring, or to frame my world with my words. So can you talk about the mental capacity and the emotional intelligence that one needs to be successful too? Because I think people might understand grind, 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 grind. And yes, we're about having a work ethic, but you brought up the mental capacity that I think a lot of people miss out on when you're being a business owner or entrepreneur, that they need to make sure that they gain. Can you talk a little bit about you being able to work in that perspective of where you're focusing your energy on?
You need to be incredibly mentally tough, and just tough, because it doesn't matter how good you're doing, how bad you're doing, whatever side of the equation you're on, there's always going to be somebody talking smack or trying to put you down, whether it's family members, brothers and sisters, friends. It doesn't matter. You're going to hear it from every which way side, the doubt, and nobody's going to do it for you. You have to do it yourself. And understanding yourself, hold on, let me rephrase that. Understanding what your goals are, nobody's going to ever fully understand it except for yourself. You have to be unapologetically aggressive with your mental toughness and just block out the noise. You have to believe in yourself 100%. And once you do that and you let all of that go, it just becomes quiet noise and it doesn't affect you anymore. It's kind of a beautiful thing when it does happen. It's amazing. So, my biggest advice for people, like, there's a quote, wolves run with other wolves. Like, you are the product of your 5 closest friends that you run with. So again, going back to what we said earlier, just surrounding yourself with like-minded people is crucial, because every entrepreneur I talk to, once a year at minimum, we all get super depressed, super down, and it's like quicksand. Like, you feel like you're not doing enough, so you try more and it makes it worse, and you just kind of feel like you're getting suffocated. And then on a Tuesday morning, you just snap the hell out of it. The universe realigns and you're back on plan. It's a roller coaster. So know that going into this, it's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. Just expect a roller coaster and prepare yourself for it.
I love that, man. The entrepreneurship roller coaster, man. You got to be prepared, baby. You got. And I heard a gentleman share this, and Doc, I know you appreciate this. He talked about, you don't see a football player or a receiver catch the ball and get tackled and then cry about getting tackled. They pick up, go back to the huddle, and get ready for the next play, because it's a series of downs for them to get first downs. And then their ultimate goal is to get a touchdown, which would lead to the multiple touchdowns that lead to a win. And so he said that's the same way it is with entrepreneurship. that if you get knocked down, like you brought up earlier, that's the illustration that you brought up with the lessons. Hey, I threw it against the wall, the spaghetti ministry, but at the same time, we're going to see what sticks and see what doesn't. We didn't lose. It was a lesson learned, because at the end of the day, it's about the overall win. So you don't have to fold under pressure. And I love that part of the depression. And that's something in the middle toughness that I think a lot of people don't understand. I think that it's like similar to those who are out there who are listening to this. If you don't have an understanding by others, like Doc shared earlier, in their experiences to go by, to leveraging your own understanding or your lack of maturity of years of experience being in business, you can make something fatal, or you can make a molehill a mountain. And what I mean by that is just think about if you're in a relationship with someone and you all couldn't agree on where you wanted to go eat. But there are some young couples who would think, oh my God, how is our marriage going to even work? We can't even decide where we're going to eat. When you don't know, it's people who've been together 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years who still can't decide on where they're going to go eat and get pissed at each other sometimes. So they have to work through it. But if you don't have anything to base it off of, you could think that your relationship isn't going to work because you have lack of experience. And so for those of you who are entrepreneurs, you can think that moment of feeling down or that depressive state is it for you if you don't have people who have success like Doc, or have others around you who can pour into you and be like, hey, this doesn't stop. Like this is, you have a moment where sales are through the roof, then you have moments like, oh my God, like even if the money is right, like you dealing with some stuff with family and you're just like man, I don't know if I don't know if this is, I don't know, you know. And so Doc, I know that you understand that. So share this, Doc, if you don't mind. Okay, you go from me, you talked about this offline or whatnot. A little bit how we go from garage to the design district. Talk to us, man. You know, George Jefferson. We moving on up, brother.
we moving on up. If I could get up and do that little dance he does, I sure would.
Oh man.
Before I answer that, I want to ask you a question if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
So, because you get to talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, and you know it becomes a thing. How often do you guys sit around and you're having this conversation, and you're just like, I just can't believe they actually think I know what I'm doing?
All the time. Let me share this real quick, Doc, why you brought that up. One of our clients is a 2-time Daytime Emmy Award winner formerly for the Steve Harvey Show when it was going on. Now, this is amazing. I saw something with Steve Harvey saying this, what you just brought up, and she brought it up in her book. They were both in the plaza overlooking the waterfalls. I think it was NBC Studios or one of them or whatnot that they were doing it. They had won these awards and all this, Emmy Award winners. Steve was in his office saying, Impostor Syndrome. When is this going to stop? When are they going to find out that I'm this, country ass dude from this area? I'm from Ohio, but I've been in Texas. That I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm doing the same jokes that I was doing on the Chitlin circuit. Like, how long they gonna keep letting me sit in here and get paid for something that I know people funnier than me? Like, when is this gonna? I'm not really intelligent to that point. I know some jokes. My language ain't good. I'm country. I'm not, I'm not David Letterman or nobody or Jay Leno. I'm not the.
I got teeth. I got really nice teeth.
There you go. I got nice teeth though, man. I got nice teeth and a good suit. But in this lady, her name is Kim Gagne, but she shared that she had that same thing. So I'm bringing this up. This is a 2-time Daytime Emmy Award winner. A lot of success. And she still was feeling it and even felt it when it came to writing her book. She didn't know why she should be able to write a book with all these stars and all these things she had produced. So you're right, Doc. Every one of them feel that way about the imposter syndrome. And like, I really don't know what the hell I'm doing. Just so happened I'm here and people are having me do interviews now. So, man, it's back on you, Doc.
I wanted to bring that up because I knew you were going to throw out some nuggets just by, the overall vibe and energy of this conversation. I knew you were going to drop some knowledge bombs. So yeah, started out in the garage. In my house, it was like a 15-foot by 19-foot garage built in like the 50s. And I had met Andy, who is my welder, and it's been pretty much the two of us together for 5 years. He's a full-time firefighter, so he's 1 day on, 2 days off. And so we met, and about 8 months into year one, we just, in order to do this as a real business, we needed space. And so Andy lived about 30 minutes south of Dallas in a little town called Red Oak on 8 acres. And he's always wanted a giant shop. So him and I had discussed it, or me, him, and his wife discussed it. They got 3 boys, and we ended up building our first actual shop on his property. And, we worked that out, and we were in that shop for a little over 3 years. And then it just got to the point, like every time we thought, or I thought that we should push growth, it just didn't sit right with me. Like in my gut was like, it's not the right time. It's not the right time. So we kept it humble. We just kept hustling and grinding. And then finally it just got to the point where we legitimately needed more space to keep up with production. And at that point, we've had, like, the resume was already built at that point, Ritz-Carlton, Omnis, Choctaw, AIG, Hard Rock, whatever. So that was when the moment was like, okay, we need a lot more production space. We need to get the metalwork separate from the woodwork. And that's when, during COVID, a good friend of mine bought a leather company, and COVID hit, was looking to sublease it out somehow. And I was like, kind of want to run a litmus test about having a showroom and having finished pieces and, this cool space. And so that evolved very quickly into space we're at now, which is 5,000 square feet of shop, and then 2 offices and a full showroom up front. And that's how I got here.
Now, also, Doc, I think it's important for those who are listening to this. Like, let's go a little bit deeper into that showroom part. Some of you have to understand you need to position yourself to prosper. See, it's one thing to do the actual physical work, but you also got to have some of that PT Barnum in you to be able to have some showmanship and to be able to have the work. You can put eyeballs on the great work that you're doing compared to just having it off in Never Land, Texas, where nobody can't see it at all. So when you got these, affluent people or others or whatnot who desire the type of work, you got to have proximity. So your ideal clients, who typically have the budget and the resources and the sense of urgency, can see your stuff and build a buzz and have them to actually look at it. So can you talk a little bit about that power of why you wanted a showroom and why you wanted a showroom in that area instead of Timbuktu, Texas?
Absolutely. And this conversation is tying in so many pieces. Like, you and I vibe really well together, man. I like how you roll. So the whole point behind the showroom was I was buying and importing wood from Thailand, and one of the companies that was helping broker that, like, they don't sell raw pieces of wood. They only sell finished pieces. So I'm like, okay, well, we're 100% custom. Let me run that litmus test, and that way we can have a place for the initial client meetings. They can come in and see the products, but everything in there was for sale. And after like the first week, very quickly realized that with the business model I built, nobody wants a finished piece. They only want custom. So they'd walk in and be like, oh my God, I love that, but I want it made for me. It's like, crap. So it was a really good litmus test, and it, it cost money, but it proved that having a tangible location in a very popular area, just with SEO through the website, Google Maps, it made us a lot more visible. So it was a great experiment. Whether you want to call that a failure or not, okay, but 100% worth
it. I love it, man. And because now all of a sudden you're able to drum up the business, you're able to say, okay, this doesn't work. So now I can double down on what works, because the SEO stuff was working. Getting people through the door was working. Now, all of a sudden, you just need to make the little pivot. It's a game of adjustment. You know, if you see someone, whether you're watching a game or whatnot, this is at the time of this recording or whatnot, is doing the NBA Finals. You see coaches doing not halftime, doing timeouts or whatnot. They're on the sideline. They got the paper out, man. They got the pen and pad out. They're writing on the board. They're drawing up plays. For you as business owners out there, you have to draw up plays to make the change. It can be one tweak. So just because you showed up with one idea, when someone gives you feedback, you look at it like, I didn't even, just like there were people who were able to see that Doc should have created a business by what he was doing and he didn't see it. If you listen to the clients and what they're telling you, you can make the adjustment. And now all of a sudden, when it is that right client or that huge contract that you're looking at, or contracts plural, now all of a sudden you're prepared for it. But guess what? If you wouldn't have learned that lesson earlier, you wouldn't have been prepared and you would have forfeited the opportunity that you have. But if you butthurt, then, can I say butthurt on air? Okay, let's say it. Okay, but if you butthurt or whatnot, now you wouldn't even be able to listen to the advice that the person was telling you, or you wouldn't even be able to take the feedback for what it was and make the adjustments. So please, if you don't get anything else out of this, make the adjustments. Just because you made an adjustment doesn't mean that you are a failure. But don't let pride get in the way to the point that you miss out on what you're doing. I want to bring this up too, especially with us doing this interview and the right vibes. Okay, think about this. I'm bringing this up again. And I know y'all like, oh my God, Darren, you keep bringing this up. Think about it. Me and Doc are connected for this interview. Me and Doc got a lot in common. Me and Doc are going to connect after this is over with. But guess what? If I'm not willing to connect with people who don't look like me, if I'm not willing to connect with people and connect with the right people, then guess what? My job is easier because guess what? The same amazing human being that connected me to Doc, that person is amazing. So typically birds of a feather flock together. So now the person in his spirit influence is right now I get to connect with a Doc. So even though we don't even have the gentleman here with us right now, we probably have to do a podcast where we all get on together too as well. But at the same time, now all of a sudden I'm able to have a good energy. That's why he wanted Doc to connect with me. He wouldn't have connected me with Doc if I was crap, if I didn't have anything going on, if I wasn't positive, if I couldn't add value, then he wouldn't even waste Doc's time. So I'm just sharing this with people that a lot of you are missing opportunities because you think that it has to be the same group of people that you grew up with. I'm not saying that you can't have those friends, but if you don't get out of your comfort zone and meet other people, then you will be missing out on opportunities. Like I'm looking at some of the pieces that Doc done, I'm like, oh man, okay, when we get ready to do something, I'm just thinking like with my wife, like we can reach out to Doc and them on some pieces. It's other clients that I have that I'm thinking about like, oh man. So without Doc even knowing it, because I'm learning about him and what he does, it's already drumming up business for Doc that he doesn't, not saying he needs it, but I'm just saying it's just when you kick it with people, you like to support them and you love the work that they do. So please, people, if you don't understand, it's like, Doc, our buddy that connected us, I'm going to do some work with him. He's doing some stuff for me. He wasn't even asking for it. We just had a mutual friend that had a good vibe and we're having cigars. And I find out what he does. I'm like, oh man, I could use it. And I also got a team of people that could use your services. Why would I use somebody else when that's what you do, you and your wife, or I might as well use y'all. So think about how much you're missing. He didn't have to run a Facebook ad. He didn't have to do anything like that to get those deals. It was just all because we were at the same spot having a cigar with mutual friends. If you want your good old boy network, create it. Boom, baby. That's how we roll today. Doc, what's your thoughts,
That's
baby?
exactly right, man. That's exactly right, dude. That's one thing I love about entrepreneurs, man, honestly, is they are usually the least judgmental people I have ever met in my entire life. Because to all of us, brother, we don't care what color you are, like sex, race, that is all irrelevant. Are you a good person? All of us roll together that way.
That's it. And when you got people who understand what it takes, and like you said, this is not a color issue, this is not a gender issue, sexual orientation, whatever it is that you're into. This is the key to it. When you are a good person, and that's what somebody is looking for, they don't have time, like you heard Doc bring up earlier, to exert energy in the wrong type of people. Like if it's the type of vibe where somebody's trying to hit on your girl, somebody can't hold their liquor, they messing up a deal with a client. Like if I gotta explain all that to you, I don't need to hang with you, man. You see what I'm saying? If I gotta spell that all out to you, like it's like, bro, you can't be a part of the circle. And I just want people to get that if you start letting limited ideals and mindsets get in your way, what you'll also find out with other people who are entrepreneurs and those who are winners is that when you got people who are busting their tail, man, and those who are steady learning and growing and being lifelong learners, you'll start realizing that it's not even a political thing or anything like that, but you have in common that, like, man, these people invested in themselves. Like, so if you over here whining, don't want to invest in yourself, like, you're not going to fit in anyway. If you don't have a work ethic, it doesn't matter the race or the color. You're not going to fit in anyway. If you're not a person that has integrity or character, so it's not a political thing. It's not. But so when someone is working every day to make it, do you think that the government or somebody is supposed to take care of you, and all of us are supposed to take care of you? Now, all what we got to invest, but you're supposed to take more of our money, more of our access, tell us what to do. You never ran a business, did anything. You just got a nice little J.C. Penney suit on that you wear, and you want to create laws and rules to tell us what to do. Bro, for people who really putting their neck on the line every day, that is not going to set well, because one thing with entrepreneurship is freedom. You know what I'm saying? Even though that might be freedom to work 24 hours instead of 8 hours, but you don't want to take that freedom from a person, And so I think that some people, they miss it, but this is nothing about political views, race, and that. But when you got people like Doc who had to create, try, invest, put this online, now you come and tell this person, you never put your neck on the line for anything. You just think because you existed at a job that somebody's supposed to give you an increase in raise, but you haven't added any value since you started there. You want to work as less as possible and get paid as much as possible. And you let society tell you that this is the American way. What America are you talking about? Like what world are you? Why are we supposed to bust our tail and then spread it around to everybody else? Shouldn't I be able to spread wherever I want to spread it to? But you're gonna tell me where I got to give it to. But that's freedom. I'm sorry, I had a rant.
No, hey, you need to do one of these right now. That was one of the greatest rants I've heard in a long time. No, and I'm glad you did it, because especially in today's day and age, everybody's too afraid to say how it really is. And man, again, going back to what we said, like, you'll never be criticized by somebody doing more than you. People on this side of the equation of entrepreneurs, we do not punch down. It does zero justice. It serves no purpose. And man, just the more you get into this and you surround yourself with guys like us and just do that, everything becomes very, very clear. We don't have to agree on damn near anything. Has zero relevance to the moral makeup of who you are as a person, how hard you work, and we're all striving for the same thing. And on top of that, the most successful entrepreneurs that I've been privileged to meet, they all have one very similar quality. It was never about the money. It was always about the freedom.
Give me freedom, baby. Give me freedom. That's one reason why I visit other places, but that's one of the reasons I stay in Texas. I always tell people I visit all over. I travel and meet you, but I'm not saying we perfect in Texas. But a lot of stuff I stand for, Texas back it up. So it's not knocking other states. I love y'all. I love other areas. I travel there. I go visit. But at the same time, you know what I'm saying? It's just certain things I'm used to, certain things I'm able to carry, certain things I'm able to protect my family with, certain things I can do business on. You know, I don't just get, I mean, you know, so that's a whole nother episode. But I'm just saying though, when you work this way and you put that type of work in, I think it's just the camaraderie. So before me and Doc was able to even do this interview, I'm just going to show you how this works. Like we're at, I think, the Star in Frisco. Okay, so we got a Latin brother there, a brother white there. We got another brother who's a boxer, black. We got a Filipino guy. Who, I mean, you know, all of us is at the Star, but the vibe is the same. All these people from different walks of life, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we all having a cigar, you know, they're connecting, boom, 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 boom. And so I'm bringing this up again just to show you all, it was different industries represented. People who were publicists. I'm a publisher. It was somebody else that owns an insurance company. Somebody else has one of the fastest YouTube channels that's growing. Another guy, whatnot, that's dealing with copywriting. Another guy who's a boxer and a trainer or whatnot. I mean, so this isn't like, oh, y'all can say that, Doc, you and Darren. No, bro. This is showing you different walks of life, different dress codes, different areas, different regions, but we all have the same things in common that me and Doc is talking about. And Doc, if you don't mind, like for people who are listening, we're going to have it in the show notes and all of that at the airing of this. But can you share, like, how can they connect with you, man? Like on like social media, come visit the store, whatever information you want to share. Could you share that at this time?
Yeah, so Instagram is at the Wright Edge, and that's WRIGHT. The website's the same, www.therightetedge.com, and we are located in the Design District in close to downtown Dallas, Texas.
Awesome. Well, Doc, man, I appreciate you so much, man, for coming on. This has been an amazing interview. I saw why our boy connected us and whatnot. We definitely got to connect to, you know, in person. But if you don't mind, Doc, for that person out there who's thinking like, damn, man, I'm starting. Dang, man, I'm not there yet. You know, it's like I'm taking every step I take forward, I take 2 steps back. For that entrepreneur, that business owner, man, who's kind of in that depressive state, Doc, could you give them a parting piece of advice, man, before we leave out of here, man, for them to keep going?
It's always going to happen. It's never going to stop. It just comes down to how much you can weather the storm. It doesn't ever get better. We never we get more efficient in figuring things out, but it's playing 3D chess every single day. And you just got to be nimble on your feet. And if you are genuinely depressed and you're in a bad spot, just especially today's day and age, like as a man, do not be afraid to open up and reach out for help from a friend, family, anything. Just accept that it's 100% okay to be open and honest about what's going on with your struggles. Because half the time, just even getting it off your chest is going to make a big difference. And just don't give up, man. It's like that every day. 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Just how you weather the storm.
You know, Doc, I appreciate you sharing that for that closing piece of advice, because I was intentional with that for that person who think I haven't arrived. What most people don't understand, you never arrive. You're always evolving. You're going from faith to faith and whatnot, glory to glory. You're going from one step higher and higher. So new levels, new devils. So, you know, just like now, I remember the same book, the same tax person I had when I first started is not the same tax person now. So you learn, okay, now you got a CPA. Okay, well, I got the CPA thing. Well, they don't do as good, but I need to have a bookkeeper too. I need to have this. So you're steady learning. You got to be a lifelong learner. So you can't think where you started with, and then the same money that you thought was some money when you got started, it's like, that really ain't no money. Like that ain't, you see it, you know, and other people are able to understand it when you communicate it with them, but you're like, that really, now I just thought, well, if I made this, if I did this, oh my God, everything would, but you're like, really, by the time you got payroll, you got expenses, you got this, you got taxes, you got lifestyle, you want to grow the business. I need to get back to it. And you hang around other people that's showing you like, hey, they're giving to charities, they're giving to this. And you're like, I want to do this too. I want to help people. whatever that cause is for you or whatnot, it allows for you to continue to have to level up. But man, Doc, thanks. We help you so much. For those who are tuned into this episode, I don't know what you all need to do. Y'all need to reach out, connect, because you all got some good game today. Like, you all had a mastermind today. So now this is one of the things about Keep Going. Now, what are you going to do with this free information? Because we could have had a mastermind that charged thousands of dollars for the same information that could help you make millions if you apply it.
Like, so are you saying that you and me need to start booking a road show? Is that what you're saying? Because I am in.
I think we got some, man. We're going to hit them with the ebony and ivory, baby. The shore. We back. We back, baby. We taking them on the road or whatnot. You know, saying the Texas boys, we back. So we're going to definitely bring it on to them. But for those who tuned in, remember, if you won't change, be the change. Until next time, we'll talk to you later. Be great.